Been a long week.
It's been a weird week.
I've been drinking a lot this week.
Oh, have you?
Yes.
This is awesome.
Yes. Tuesday night, don't know what I did.
Oh.
But Wednesday morning, I went to have a bong hit and went into my studio. I had 5 twisted teas just sitting there. I went drinking before. And when I came home, I don't remember buying 5 twisted teas. And all my weed was gone. And I was like, what the fuck?
You know what the funniest part of a Tuesday blackout is?
Hmm.
Some people call it an eclipse when the sun goes away. But when you can't remember, it's just called a blackout.
It was a blackout because, dude, I did not remember drinking all day Tuesday. And then I came here for rehearsal Wednesday, and it was hard. Hard on the head, man.
It probably wasn't hard. You felt like it was, but
The last Monday's show was a fucking party. I don't know what it was about, dude, but it was a fucking party.
Was that, with Patty.
Yes.
Fuck, love you, Patty.
Best interview we've had in a fucking long time, man.
Every interview we have is the next best interview we've ever had. Like every time we do one, it gets better.
Tonight's no joke either.
Dude, tonight is probably going to result in a cage match. Pretty sure you and
I'm referee.
You and Marc are going head to head.
I will not fight that man.
I would fucking pay dollars to see you fight Marc.
No.
I would.
I grew up
a fighter.
I grew up listening to him. I mean, there's records that he's been on that I don't even think he knows he's been on.
I guarantee I have an entire page full of notes. Like, how many fucking bands have you played with, amigo?
He's a fellow band whore like me. You know.
And tonight we have a mixed crew behind the desk. Woo it up harder. There you go, kids. We got producers. We got a social media manager.
Yeah, we got someone new on the team tonight.
Got a new team member.
Her name is Plaid.
Plaid wants to add, I'm too, okay.
Wow, he's too loud?
I can be louder. Oh, you can't see this prettiness?
What we're trying for.
Oh.
That's what we're trying for.
I would say hi to Rebecca. She's watching right now, and she's like, I want to watch right now. Everybody fucking loves you. Marc Diamond is here. She remembers meeting him. Oh, shit. I fucking spilled it.
Before we go on, there's 2 things I want to talk about.
Oh, God damn it.
Personal things.
Fuck.
First one, let's go good news or bad news? Which one?
Let's go good news first.
All right. So, Plaid, if I'm not mistaken, is the very first person to talk to you into talking to me.
That is 100% correct. 2010. Plaid is the reason that I spoke to this man the first time, 2010, at your 20th
anniversary for Dead
at the Steel Pit.
Yeah.
Yep. She pushed me, literally.
Yeah.
Well, talk to him. I was like, I don't want to. And she actually physically pushed me into it. And we had a conversation. I go, if you remember that, you're a fucking asshole. How many conversations have you had that you don't remember?
Many, of course.
All of them.
But come on.
There
are certain conversations with fans that you have that that are memorable just because of the topic or there's something, there that you just remember, and those are the ones that become friends,
Exactly.
And
literally, I don't think this would be happening right now without her having pushed me into that.
Yeah.
And that whole basis because of Pat Rowan, that whole push
introducing to us.
Yeah. That whole push was you and I suddenly getting into this place was because she pushed us into this.
And then very cool because I know 20 something, shows that we've had already, they just keep getting better and better. The guests are just phenomenal. And, I'm proud to say that just every guest that we've had is a dear friend of mine.
Dude, every guest has been a dear friend of yours and have become a friend of mine, which I'm very proud of. I'm very honored to be a part of. I really do feel very honored to be in this circle now, which feels really, really fucking good.
Deservedly so.
I would never have imagined this. Simply I wouldn't have gotten there.
And segueing into that, yesterday, my father's best friend, Flavio, passed away, and he was my dad's best friend. I've known him since I was a kid, but he's up there with my dad now. Fucking Flavio, you're one of my, not even a real uncle, but I've considered you my uncle. And the music that your voice is brought to my ears every time I've seen you at a party. And I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you, Theo. And just give my dad a hug for me, and we'll see you soon.
I'm gonna kill him soon. He'll be there.
But with that, I mean, I've said it a million times already, especially since my dad passed. That, the thing I love about punk rock is that you meet your icons. Nobody in punk rock is a fucking rock star, and if they are, they're not a true punk rocker.
We're regular people. We're regular folk,
and
they.
And our guest today, I'm sad to say that I haven't known him for years, but I've known him almost a year now, and I'm proud to say that I've jammed with this guy, and he's the lead guitar player for one of my fucking favorite bands. Like fucking
Duran.
Yeah, and
so, but he told me earlier he doesn't.
He's a sweetheart of a fucking man.
He didn't like you that much.
He's not Irish. He has an upper lip.
He's pretty fucking Irish.
So, are you? Well, let's bring him on. Let's bring him on. Hey, Marc Diamond from the Dwarves, and come on in. Come on in. All right.
What's that? Off drops.
Marc Diamond, motherfucker.
Ricola.
Actually, they are. Maybe we get paid for that now.
Did you ever try Fisherman's Friends when you were in Europe?
No.
That's what I got turned on.
They have that great nasal decongestant. It's really good. It kind of feels like you get a drip and everything.
Oh.
Jeff Dahl had a great song about it.
Oh, Jeff Dahl. I love that guy.
Yeah, he had a great song. What's that song called? I can't remember, but yeah, it's about the good European nasal spray. Just much better than what we have.
Everything in Europe is better.
No, that's not true.
No,
the food's not, the traffic's not, it's not. But we have
Europe has to be better.
We have plenty of problems of our own, but nah. Going to Europe is just agreeing to be uncomfortable for 2.5 weeks with any band.
Really?
Yeah, you got to. I mean, the Dwarves will be there July. We leave July 18th, do the festivals and stuff. But it's really, just saying, okay, we'll be uncomfortable for 3 weeks. Some people love Europe. I don't love it. I don't really like touring. So that's just.
I heard something recently, like somebody said, "Fuck Europe."
Yeah,
I actually didn't hear that, but fuck Europe.
No, I'm not saying that. In America, everything's in a box. You know what I mean? It's a punk festival, so every band's a punk band. They all kind of sound the same. You know what I mean? Or it's a metal festival. So everybody's a metal band. There's a band you want to see, and there's 10 other bands that sound just like them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What's fun going to Europe, like when we go to Europe, that they put us on bills with everybody. I mean, we did a show. Where was that? The Grass Pop Metal Fest. We went on between Sepultura and Journey.
Oh my God, I love Journey.
In Italy, we did a show where we opened for My Chemical Romance. You know what I mean?
Why?
It's just kind of fun to play with different bands. Where in America, it's just like, it's a punk festival. You just have a bunch of guys standing there like, I'm just here for the Descendants. I don't care about anybody else going on first. In Europe, all those people show up at fucking noon in the afternoon. They go crazy for every band.
That's really interesting.
So I fucking give them that. There's a lot of things in Europe that's fucked up, like there's staircases and beds.
Wait. Back up. I want to hear more about what you just said.
Unless you're in Scandinavia, every place you stay is just a horrible flight of stairs to walk up. And I mean, I'm old, so I can bitch about it.
They don't have elevators. They don't have lifts.
Small. But the festivals are great. That's really the reason why we go, because, we finally get to play all those nice big festivals. And, we've done shows there, playing right before Iggy Pop, we've done,
Journey.
We played, I think we went on before Journey once or after them. I can't remember.
I can't remember.
There's a festival they have in Spain called the Esquenza Festival. They have bands like all night. The guy's like, all right, you guys are going on like around 1:30. I'm like, 1:30 in the morning, man? It's like, people are going to be done. He's like, they either watch the bands or they go sleep in the mud in their disgusting tents. He goes, trust me, they'll watch you. I'm like, well, when do we go on? He goes, you go on after Deep Purple. So we went on after Deep Purple. Or the other way of looking at it is that Deep Purple opened for us. That's what I like to think of it. But you know what? But the guy was right. The guy was like, 10,000 people stayed and watched us, and had fun. They probably didn't know who the fuck we were, but Europe's cool that way. You play with a lot of different
And that's
types
with
of
the
acts.
dwarves.
Huh?
That's
That
dwarves.
was with the dwarves. Yeah, I have a poster for that one. Yeah, we went on right after
I want a copy of that.
right after Deep Purple.
I really want a copy of that. That would be fucking amazing. Just stick up on the wall in here. I mean, I did a little bit of deep research today, not deep, but you played with like 250,000 bands.
Well, a lot of these are just records I played on. I haven't actually played in a lot of these bands. I toured with Texas Terry. She's a friend. We wrote some songs together.
What up?
I was never in Faster Pussycat, but
You-
I'm friends with those dudes.
You played on the
You
album.
did record.
on their records.
So let's go to the very beginning. Broken Glass.
That was my first band, which that we put a record out for Chrysalis around 1990, 89. But you got to remember, then in LA, that's the post Guns N' Roses thing. Every label's like, just one of those loud, long-haired bands from LA.
Right. Wait, did you have long hair?
Half the band had long hair, half the band did it. We kind of wanted
Did
to.
you have long hair?
Yeah.
I fucking want.
But I'm
God.
I'm proud of that too, man, because I never had one of those fucking metal dudes. I just had long fucking stoner guy hair. I never had a crown. Actually, I'm kind of proud of. I can look at that record and go, I'm not wearing anything that's embarrassing. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm kind of, I didn't have that, but
You showed up in your own outfit.
That band, I kind of still dress the same.
If you have pictures of that, I want you to send them those.
No, I've had one. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That band, we kind of wanted to be like the replacements for Georgia Satellites, but to record labels, it was just get us one of those long hair bands from LA.
Right.
Just, that sounded to them, it all sounded like Guns N' Roses. So we got dropped pretty quick.
So it's a beautiful, like a beautiful thing that you said is Georgia
They
Satellites.
freaked out because they got an invoice for it. We brought in a pedal steel player, and they're like, "Why are you bringing a pedal steel player?" And we're like, "Well, to do the country songs." They're like, "Why are you doing country songs?" Like,
You
signed us. You signed us.
like I said, you said the replacements in Georgia Satellites. Those are they're not opposing diametrically bands.
Yeah, but to me, it's rock and roll. The rock and
What
roll
an
band.
amazing fucking like a breadth of
And that's
what
what
is
I mean.
that?
I like rock and roll. I
inspiration.
like rock and roll bands. I like pop bands. You know what I mean? The only thing I never really liked, is metal because I can't get past the singing. I've never owned a Metallica record. I can't get past. I love Slayer. Slayer's fun.
There's more of a
and like the first two Venom records, those are awesome. They sound like Misfits albums. You know what I mean?
Dude,
But most we did some festival like last year or year before or whatever, and with King Diamond. And I'm like, all right, I'll try to listen. I can't get past a minute. Huh?
No, he doesn't like.
I don't like that. Well, I can't say that. The best metal band in the world.
You don't like Striper.
Municipal Waste. Greatest band in the world. You know why? Because they took everything that makes metal stupid and they took it out. They took out the histrionic screaming, some guy going, wah. They took out 7-minute songs about dragons, and they took out long, wanky guitar solos. We've toured with me with Waste, and they're awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
I love that band. I'll listen to that forever. That shit's great. That's what I like. I like stuff like that. But to me, they're a metal band, they're a thrash band. But to me, that's a rock and roll band. You know what I mean? They're a rock and roll band.
One of the things I always hated, I'm not going to put that word out there. Like a dislike is like the fact, like if you want to sound like Bonnie or Ann Wilson, then be a girl and play in Heart.
I
don't like the ladies. I hate Robert fucking Plant.
I
would fight him right now.
Zeppelin's a weird one because you had
Right
as a guitar player, you got a good guitar player. Everyone in that band played great.
Bottoms,
but there's I don't have a lot of problems with dragons and bustles in my hedgerows. Like lyrically, I never connected with Zeppelin, but as a musician, I liked it. But I was never a big Zepp guy.
Again,
I was always a Stones guy.
Dude, John Paul, who's the bass player? John
Paul Jones was the bass player. John Bonham.
One of the best bass players.
Yeah, that rhythm section was amazing.
A little overacted,
it was pretty good.
Yeah,
he's pretty good.
I'm a drummer, so
he can swing.
yeah.
It was Keith Moon. Nobody's gonna Keith.
I want to go back. I want to go.
Don't go there because I hate fucking Keith.
Really? Oh,
Keith Moon.
okay.
I can't hear the one. I mean, he was a great showman, I think, but I hated the way he played drums. I really did. And the Who was a weird one for me because when you're like a little kid, like a boy growing up, all their songs made a lot of sense. It's all like us against them and blah blah blah. And then I don't know, it didn't age well with me. Now it seems all very trite. I like the early Who stuff. I like everything until Tommy. All their pop songs, meaty bitty, big and bouncy, that stuff.
Yeah.
I can see for miles. All that stuff to me is really great. And Keith Moon was a great performer. But when I listen to the records, I can't hear the beat, man.
Oh my God.
I can't hear the beat at all. I don't like him.
Interesting.
And people hate it when I say that, but
All right, so
Fuck Keith Moon.
that being a lead into a question, how do you feel about George Hurley, Minuteman, Firehose?
you know, I remember seeing them. They're one of the hardest working bands. When I first started going out when I was a kid growing up in LA, you'd go to a club and Minutemen would be opening, and then you might go to like an after hours club and they'd be playing again. So they were always working and doing stuff. It wasn't, you know, I like my stuff more less artsy, more fartsy.
Oh,
Yeah. They were literally everything. They're kind of like, well, we're jazz. It's like, yeah, you're not really jazz, but I'm not well schooled enough in jazz to say. But you know what I mean? No. They never really rocked for me, but I totally respect what they did, and I saw them a number of times.
I want more straightforward, just fucking drums, go, punk rock, do it.
Well, again, when you say punk rock, like when I think of punk music, I think of oi, 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 I hate the Queen or whatever. No. The bands that people think like, oh, that's punk rock, to me are all rock and roll bands. The Pistols were a rock band. The Dead Boys are a rock and roll band. The Ramones are they're a rock and roll band. To me, these are all just rock and roll bands that's played faster. I think of the Dwarves, we always, hey man, it's just rock just played really, really fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more the attitude is punk, but like as far as punk music goes, like that's what I think of. I think of the Queen haters on what was that? The show out of Chicago. Second City, SS. When they had the skit, John Candy was the drummer, and they're like, "We hate the Queen." Like to me, that's punk music.
Well, someone comes into hardcore,
like the Dead Boys, Ramones, Pistols,
SSD Control, that kind of stuff, and fucking like the Ventura punks that we just Dr. No,
right?
That whole scene, like that was like
an hardcore scene,
right?
Dialogue,
that's
and
the other thing, man. Again, I like rock bands. I like fast rock bands. Like to me, Motorhead invented metal, but to me, they're a rock and roll band. I never hear metal when I listen to it. I hear
what I loved
Motorhead.
About
what I mean
about Motorhead though, it was the punks embraced them as well,
right? Yeah,
and it was like,
could you not?
Of course, but it was
Motorhead when I was
weird.
16 or 17 at the Santa Monica Civic.
8 years ago.
Motorhead, Wedio Williams, and Megadeth.
Oh my god!
I went to that show. I'd never seen Motorhead before. I was like, wow, man. It was life-changing. Years later, the Dwarves would tour with Motorhead. We went out with them for a bit, but they actually kicked us off their tour. So.
Wait. Why? Give me one. It's got to be Black's fault.
One word, Black.
Lemmy was always cool, but they had like stupid heavy metal crew, and just everything we did pissed them off.
What did Black do?
We just fucked with them. They wanted you to kiss that. Bottom line, they were playing 2,000-seat theaters up in Seattle, but they're only selling 1,500 tickets. So all the promoters said, "Hey, put the Dwarves on. It'll be great." So it was Motorhead, Dwarves, and High on Fire.
Okay.
Right. But like from the first night, they're like, all right, Dwarves, you go on at 8 and your set's until about 9:30. I'm like, dude, we're not going to play an hour and a half. So he said, why don't you let High on Fire go on later or play longer? Because they kind of jam and they were cool. No. The Xerox piece of paper says that,
Oh, man.
And then as we got closer to like LA where they didn't need us on the bill anymore, and we had He Who coming down, still playing naked. They just didn't appreciate our art very much. And, their manager said, that's it. Fuck you. You're off the tour. And then he waited because you're supposed to say, oh, please, Mr. Big Rock Manager, don't kick us off. And, we laughed at him, told him to eat a bag of dicks. And that was it. So we got kicked off. But, I still love Motorhead. Yeah.
So you did Broken Glass. When did you and the Dwarves kick off? Are you one of the original members?
No, the Dwarves. I'm old, but they're even older than me.
You're not that old.
Gizz is old. I was in a band called New York Loose. It was on Hollywood Records. That it was kind of like Blondie, but more rock. Girl singer. It was cool, kind of like pop rock.
Bass on that.
Danny, who's now in Motocross with me, he was the bass player. That's where I met Danny.
We'll get to that in a minute, kids.
On that tour, it was Hollywood Records. They had like money and shit. So you got a bus, and they had like a guitar roadie for you. And the guitar roadie was this guy named Trevor, who I became very friendly with. And, I could tell we were going to get dropped. It had already been dropped before. You can kind of tell what's going to happen. But he's like, what else? I'm like, who else do you work with? He's like, I work with the Dwarves a lot. He's like, oh, I should introduce you to Blag. Because, he's always looking for people. I don't think, they're looking for another guitar player at that point. So I met Blag, and I came in and did a bunch of the leads on Come Clean, which is 99.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really start playing live with them until 2001. So I played on that record. But they still had their other guitar player, and then I came in, and then I've been with them ever since then, so about 25 years. But that's how I originally got involved with the Dwarves.
I don't know. Like the Dwarves is one of those things. Like I've heard the Dwarves over and over again, and I've met you a couple times, and I've seen you play with them live, and like you shred. Like you really do have like that fucking proper talent. Like one of our other mutual friends, Lightning Woodcock.
Oh
You
yeah,
guys,
Bill's great, man. He's a great guitar player.
you guys have that fucking gene where you're just like, fucking do it.
I love listening. We did a bunch of shows when. Am I allowed to say the bands he was in?
No.
The one where you
No.
with the costume.
No.
I've done other bands that he was in, but anyways, yeah, he's an amazing guitar player. He's a great dude.
It says definitely not coffee on it.
You want your drink?
Yo, what's up? Fucking just like depriving me of alcohol here. Fucking no, that's not a. God damn it.
Okay, so
And then the band that I was gonna do when we were jamming.
yeah,
But like I said, when we first started, I'm like, dude, I know I'm gonna be gone because of the new record out. It's nice to see. Well, first you had Frank, who's another great guitar player,
Oh,
Frank
yeah.
Meyer, who's playing with Fear now. And he's
Frank?
Frank Meyer's in Fear now.
Hey, Frank.
That's when I couldn't do it because I had tour dates for there was that
The Region.
show at the Region, right? And then
back in November.
now it's true. Now Frank Bill came in, and
yeah.
Bill's amazing. Yeah,
He is. I'm privileged and blessed that I got to play with him in Foreign Object.
right. Yeah, he's a
that
great
wrestling
guitar
punk
player.
band that we were
I remember doing sound from years ago in a band called it was called Miss Derringer.
in.
Yeah, he was in. I always remember. Well, you can remember Bill,
Mm.
Yeah, right.
but yeah, he's a good dude, great player.
I like Frank. He's a pretty good dude.
What other things you have down here? I'm curious.
Well, so
Well, I wanted to get
Kawasaki. I remember that one.
well, yeah. So I want to
Alright.
slow down and go forward. So as you're moving forward, so first things first, like guitar. How did you get there?
What do you mean?
Why did you pick up a guitar and play?
Oh, I mean, I guess the reason every kid does.
Pussy.
It's actually probably before that. You don't really discover pussy until you're a teenager. I started playing a little earlier. I probably actually got in for music. And then later it became, you get free beer and you meet girls and stuff like
There you
that.
go.
But I just remember, I never took a lesson. You just put on a record and you
Just jam
make
it out.
horrible noise,
Figure it out.
figure it out, and
What was that band?
Huh?
What was that band?
There you go.
that was just people I played in through high school and stuff like that.
No, there was a
No,
band you were listening to.
Oh, I mean, for me, so when I was 13, that would have been around
1937,
81.
38.
81. So big records for me to learn. Obviously, Ramones. Ramones was good because it's all kind of Chuck Berry. I mean, I love the Stones.
Yeah.
So I wanted to play Stone stuff, but I hadn't figured out the drop G tuning. So things always sounded wrong. And I loved Black Sabbath, but I didn't realize back then they were just tuning low, but I couldn't play all those solos. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So what was really perfect for me was Ramones because you learn bar chords. And after
Right.
that, Johnny Thunders. And then, with Stones, he'd always talk about Chuck Berry. So you play with Chuck Berry. But huge records for me, though, was like Cheap Trick and Budokan, which I think was 79 or 80.
Right.
And I learned a lot of guitar, like my first solo,
Okay.
and ZZ Top.
So you just sat in a room and fucking just jammed.
I just put on Trace Hombres over and over again. And then,
Fuck yeah, dude.
punk stuff would come out. Steve Jones, that was a big one for me because Steve is basically just playing Chuck Berry licks.
Yep.
He's one of those guys who's just so tasteful. A few years later, when I was like a teenager, I had a buddy playing with Steve, and I got to kind of roadie for him a couple times. And
Right on.
Steve's just like, to this day, I've only ever used an Ibanez tube screamer. He's just like, this green thing makes stuff sound good. I'm like, okay. And he was right. That's the only tool I've ever used my whole life. I've tried other things. They all suck. I use an Ibanez tube screamer. Steve Jones told me when I was a kid, he's like, this makes amps sound good. I'm like, all right, fair enough.
Just so then my next question would be like, well, what was your first setup? Like, what did you get to first off?
Everybody's first setup is the PV backstage.
Oh, not everybody's, but okay.
Yeah, the PV backstage, like $100 amp.
Yep.
And it's got a whole bunch of gain on it, because gain, it's easy to play with and shit like that. The first real amp I bought,
Guitar. What was your guitar? First guitar.
Oh, so I remember I had a boa constrictor when I was a kid, right?
Oh my god!
And it was getting kind of big and aggressive, and I'm like, I'm going to sell this. I want to buy a guitar, so I sold the snake for like $300 to my science teacher in 7th grade. I had my mom drive me down to a Guitar Center, I think it's Sherman Oaks, and I wanted an SG, Gibson SG, because of Black Sabbath. And the guy there's like, how much money you have, kid? Like, I have $300. He's like, yeah, you're not getting one of those. But looking back on it, the guy was cool. I ended up, my first guitar was an Ibanez Blazer, which was just a plain wood, nothing stupid. At that age, I could have walked out with an Aria Pro 2 with skulls and dragons and stripes on it. You know what I mean?
Why?
This guy's like, this is a good guitar. It's a good starter guitar. It was an Ibanez, it looked like a Strat copy and it played fine, whatever. That was my first guitar. he was very honest. He's like, yeah, you're not going to get an SG today, kid. You know, that's not going to
Not
happen.
for that money, no way.
But that was my first one. And I remember when I finally bought myself a Les Paul or a Junior, I gave that to my cousin Aaron. I think he still has it, the Ibanez Blazer.
Aaron.
But like I said, whoever that guy at Guitar Center was, he could have easily talked to me. You know, I was a dumb kid. He's like, look at this one. It's got skulls on it and flames. Oh, I want that. You know, so I'm proud to say I came home with a brown Strat looking guitar.
That's fucking perfect. So what's your setup like? What do you play now? Amp, chord, guitar.
Les Paul through a Marshall.
Let's the Marshall.
I still have. I have a JCM 800 that I bought when I was about 16. I still have it. I have
Les Paul standard,
a 74 custom, Les Paul custom, a 72. I don't take anything nice on the road. On the road, I just bring cheap shit. I got a couple of beater guitars and some cheaper crap. But basically recording, Les Paul through a Marshall, or less. It depends what sound you're going for. But basically, what we do is Les Paul through Marshall. But we do a thing with the Dwarves, like lots of little fast hardcore songs. We'll put surf hits behind it. Yeah, so you go, it's going really fast, and you hear like a big power chord. You put in a big surf hit behind that. So that's I usually use my Jazzmaster, or I got a Firebird that's actually good for.
Oh, just Firebird's probably awesome.
Through a Fender Deluxe.
Oh, dude,
yeah,
can't go wrong with the Deluxe.
But when I was a kid, man, the first real amp I bought before I got that Marshall, I bought a 1961 Basement, the beige ones, which had like the knobs with no numbers, just a little notch in it, with the brown face.
Oh,
and then I had the matching 210 cab, which had the tilt backs,
Uh-huh.
basically like the Brian Setzer setup. And I bought it for $250, right? I didn't know what it was. I didn't like it because it didn't have gain. It didn't, when you're a kid, you just want to sound like Eddie Van Halen. So I was like, fuck this, I sold it, and I sold it for $300. So in my 16-year-old mind, I was like businessman of the year. You know what I mean? I made $50. And I remember when the guy came, he looked at it, and I somehow I got it for $250, but I'm like, do you want to plug it in? He's like, no, here, kid. He just handed me $300. He put it in his car. Now you see that thing like in,
thousands.
Oh, they're like $7,000.
Yeah,
that's better. It's like the Brian Setzers. I always regretted selling that. That was a mistake. But I took that money and then I went and bought a Marshall.
So I got one of my most important questions. I go, where the fuck did the Fresh Prince of Darkness come from?
See, with the Dwarves, you never really get to pick your name. You know what I mean? People just get names.
Oh, by the way, the Fresh Prince of Darkness.
People just get given these names or something sticks. And like I think on Come Clean, they might have, or some of the first records they had me down as the Dark Mime or Dark Mimin, because I was Mark Diamond. Diamond's my real last name, but they'd call me the Dark Mime.
It's actually not as Emerald.
And when we went to Australia in 2001, or it was in Japan, one of those, we had a buddy of ours, a filmmaker named Bob Sexton, who did a couple of videos for us. He started calling me that. It just stuck. So you just gotta get stuck.
It's one of the coolest titles ever. Oh, fucking come on! Are you serious right now?
Yeah, well, and then the show, back then was still in people's memories.
Yeah,
the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But I didn't pick it, and it takes a long time to write that. So, it's kind of hard. But you just gotta get stuck with shit.
So now here's the next question: is how did you meet Gizz? Where do you guys meet up?
We met your buddy Pat Ron.
Oh, that guy.
When Pat called me to do the Slumlords thing because you guys had good songs. I like these tunes, man. I'll go down and jam. We were jamming. You had that big show, but I knew I was going to be gone because I didn't have the exact dates yet. But that's where we actually met. It turns out that we both played in. You were in the Subs. Mm-hmm. My very first band, Broken Glass, the bass player was Alvin. He had moved out here to do whatever, right. But we got offered that Chrysalis deal, and right when we got offered that, he got offered to go do the Iggy Pop tour for Instinct. Mm-hmm. And we're like, go. It's fine. We'll find someone else, man. You got to go play with Iggy. That's awesome. So, and I still see Alvin. We talk once in a while, and I'm going to see him in August at Rebellion.
Nice.
And I saw that the Dwarves and Subs are on the same day.
Nice.
Yeah, so we didn't know each other back then, but I had played with Alvin. He played with Alvin, but
who's one of the sweetest.
Alvin's a great. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's very cool. So
Gizz told me a story about
no. What I love about Alvin is he's just so soft spoken. And when I was on tour with the Subs in '99, we were somewhere in like fucking Montana, and he wanted a cup of a cup of tea with some cream, and they didn't have any cream.
Right.
And he got this fucking mug and he bought it, and then he puts the tea bag in there and puts the hot water, and he goes, "Excuse me, do you have any cream?" And she goes, "No cream, just creamer." But she looked like fucking Marge Simpson, like not minus the blue hair, but the same style, big beehive hair.
Montana's weird that way. Like I remember, I was friends with Brian Baker, who's in Bad Religion
Oh my
now.
god!
By the time he was playing in a band called
Legend.
Junkyard, which I also toured with.
Right.
But he told me like first time they went to Montana, people like freaking out because he had a nose ring. And the first time I ever went to Montana was in that band New York Loose. And I remember we stopped and went into a diner, which is filled with people eating,
Mhm.
and the person said, well, we're closed. We didn't look that weird, you know, but they just you know, this would have been early 90s when it happened to him and happened to me. But I'm like, well, these people are eating. They're like, yeah, no, we just closed.
We know
You're
we ain't sure your
so it's like Montana. I haven't been there in a while, but it wasn't the most
Brian
open,
Baker's a fucking
wasn't
legend.
the most open-minded place in the world, Montana.
Well, yeah, there's a few of those places.
So yeah, no, I know a lot of people going to Montana got treated very weird.
So earlier. You said something about fucking what was it? Yumi Hamasaki.
Well, we had a friend, a buddy of ours, who produced a lot of stuff for Japanese bands and Japanese artists. And at some point, they got me, a gentleman named Andy Selway, who's the drummer for Tame FDM.
Yeah.
And he played in the Dwarves as Dutch Oven. So he's a great player. And they said, yeah, they want like, you know, real rock and roll people to do this track. And I didn't know who Yumi Hamasaki was, but it was paying well. Yeah, that's what paid. Well,
$18.
You know, for no, it's actually it actually paid. It wasn't like
Is that the same?
It wasn't like a royalty payment.
Is that the same dude from this? What was it? Cover Skulls?
Yeah, Andy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Andy was
fucking
spitting covers.
Spitting covers.
Yeah.
So anyway, the night before I looked her up, you know, and you know, like Wikipedia, and they're like, Yuma Hamasaki has sold over 8 million records in Japan and Asia. I didn't know who she was. But well, it was funny, we did the session and whatever. And then if you can go on YouTube, and it was a song, I think the one where they made a video for it called Decision. But she has a whole band, they're rocking out, but it's someone else and they're miming our parts. And
Of course.
that's kind of fun. But my daughter, she has a good friend of hers at high school whose mother's Japanese from Japan. And I mentioned that. She's like, oh, yeah.
Japanese from Japan?
Yeah, Japanese.
Okay. Just checking.
But yeah, no, she knew who Yuma Hamasaki was. So it's like, you don't get to drop that name very often. But that was just one day of work, but it's kind of fun.
So what was the first band you heard that kicked it?
You know, for me, I remember my dad driving me to school when I was a kid, right? I remember, like, you know, I love pop music and like 70s, you know, AM radio. You know, I love those songs, right? The first time I ever asked my mom to go, like, we got to go to some place called a record store. I got to get this record. And the first record I ever bought was Rock the Boat by the Hughes Corporation.
Oh, man.
That was the first time I ever said, you know, I want to get this record. But the first band that ever really clicked with me was, I remember, you know, on FM radio, I would always put on the rock station when my dad would drive me, and I'd hear, you know, all these songs, but they kind of sound like different bands, you know. I'd hear, you know, Under My Thumb, but I'd hear, you know, Happy, you know, and I'd hear, you know, Satisfaction, you know, and I'd hear Angie. You know, they sound very different. And at one point, Jumping Jack Flash, I realized, because, you know, on radio, they wouldn't always say who the band was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's like, oh, that band, the Stones, is good. And I realized, shit, man, this is the same band who wrote all those songs. They must be really, really good.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't realize, you know, I was just a kid. You know, I don't know how old I was, probably, you know, 8 or 9 or something like that. And I remember going to a record store and going, I got to see this Rolling Stones band. And the first record I saw was the Octagon one, Through the Past Darkly.
Yep.
That was in the front. I looked at a picture of Keith Richards. It's like, that's awesome. I want to do that, you know.
In my top
but it was a
3,
real mind blower to me that every time I heard a song that I liked,
you knew who it was.
I didn't know, but it turns out it was the same band. Because like their early 60s stuff sounds a lot different from EXO and you know, Sticky Fingers and shit like that. So, I remember hearing Brown Sugar, and I was like, That's funny. I was a little kid. They were singing a song about sugar. And you get a little older, you're like,
Oh,
oh,
that was
they're singing about black chicks. That's a little more respect.
might-
Then you get a little older, you're like, well, you know, brown sugar can be a euphemism for heroin. You know,
I actually never caught that
it
part.
kind of grew with me. You know what I mean? You
I
know,
didn't hear it either.
you know, the Stones, like to me, it just always kept. I still listen to Stones all the time. It just always got better and better and better, which is weird because I was a huge Who fan when I was a kid. But there was this one point where I was just like, this isn't resonating with me.
My top 3 albums of all time, at least 1, 2, or 3, is Exile on Main Street.
Sticky Fingers to me, I love Exile. I love it. And
I mean,
I can talk about it forever. But to
It's
me,
a magnificent fucking
I can't
piece.
ever imagine anybody making a better rock and roll record than Sticky Fingers.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
can't.
Exile is great. It's wonderful. But I can see when people argue, well, you know, what's up with side 3? You know,
Yeah, well,
you know,
it's like
stuff
it's
that,
Quadrophenia.
Turn on the road. But I love it. But to me, song for song, it's got to be Sticky Fingers.
All right.
It's got to be Sticky.
He's got something. You got something.
No,
You got nothing.
get that fucking mosquito out of my face.
It's not a mosquito.
I
It's the
listen
dick
to
bug.
Sticky Fingers at least probably twice a week. Still.
Dude, I
like the
Quadrophenia twice a week.
Okay, there you go.
Exile at least once a week.
Yep.
Like it's those things that, and that's what bases everybody and all this stuff, like the Clash, the fucking the Stones, all those. And again, for me, it's as much as it's punk rock, it's just fucking rock and roll, man.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then you realize, like, you know, there's a certain line you're supposed to tread in punk. You know, like, well, we don't like these bands or whatever. But you know, man, all the original punks, they dug Keith Richards. Mick Jones looked just like Keith Richards. You know, they'll talk about all the bands that they liked and all the glam bands and Sweet and all those bands that they weren't supposed to like. You know what I mean? I grew up, listening to FM radio. So it's like, for me, like guitar wise, Cheap Trick, ZZ Top were huge. But those are both 2 great rock and roll bands.
Was
I
Kiss ever
didn't. I never liked
You know
ZZ Top.
I didn't like Kiss. All my friends loved Kiss, and I thought Kiss was dumb. I was like, no, the Stones
They
are a real
suck.
band. I'm like, Kiss is stupid. It's just like it's like clowns, a circus. And it wasn't until much later
The same Kiss posse.
when I was in my 20s when I finally was like, all right, Kiss is fun. You know what I mean? But there wasn't anything musician wise that really blew me away. Now that I'm older, I can go, that has a hook. That's a hook. I like hooks. I like pop music. But I remember when everybody turned on Kiss, where I was made for loving you. I was like, I like that song.
Yeah.
I like that. And people were like, oh shit, they went discos. The same thing that happened to Alice Cooper when he put out like Clones and stuff. I'm like,
No.
oh man, that's pretty catchy. I mean, I always loved Alice Cooper, but Kiss, now I appreciate Kiss for what they do and I like them. But when they were huge and I like seeing a guy spit blood, that was just cool. I remember putting punch in my
So
mouth.
you got a big
and
and
punch in my mouth and getting to spit blood. But I never listened to him as a kid.
So I saw the replacements at the Palladium with a friend of mine, Buck and Sue, 4 or 5 years ago. And when we left, my friend Buck's like, I just went to rock and roll church.
Well, I'll tell
like
you.
the Replacements is one of those bands that like is musically hit or miss, but when they hit, they fucking hit.
Well, here's the story. First of all, that was a good version you saw. I didn't see that. I heard they were great on that whole reunion thing.
It was amazing.
And our buddy Josh Fries, who played drums on the last 3 Dwarves records. Yeah. He's now a Foo Fighter, so we'll probably never get him again.
but Josh,
he played on that. I had a friend, man. I didn't have an older brother, right? So you didn't have MTV, you didn't have the internet. So how do you find music like the Stones? I mean, the Stones are on the radio. I mean, like the Ramones or the Stooges, right? I had a good friend of mine who had an older brother, and they shared the Brady Bunch bathroom.
Oh yeah.
Here. And at some point, my buddy got kind of into cars and would look at car magazines. I was like music. And his older brother, who was only a couple years older than me, but I give him credit to this day. He's the one who said, come over here. And I went into his room, he put on a record, and it was the Stooges, Search and Destroy.
Dude.
And I heard that. I'm just like, what is this? I'd never heard music like this. It's rock and roll, you know what I mean? But it's just so different and loud. And then he showed me the cover. And I'm like, what is that? Is that a guy? Is that a girl? Am I turned on? What's going on? Yeah. He's like, that's
he had snakeskin pants on.
Yeah, exactly. That was a real mind blur. But he was also the guy who played with the Replacements really early, the first Replacements record. So this would have been like early 80s, right? Like 81.
Maybe 79 even. Like
when the Replacements got really, because of him, the first time I saw the Replacements was at a Halloween party at CalArts.
No,
they played a party at CalArts, right? And he could drive. So
I am jealous right now.
And this is before anybody knew. This is way before they ever got signed to a major. Anybody gave a shit about them. They're just another punk ass band, a rock and roll band. They came out and they played for a good hour and 50 minutes, flawlessly, louder than God.
Oh yeah,
and they were so good. I was just blown away by them. And then, you know, after Let It Be came out, they kind of became like Media
Dude.
Garlics and hipster things, where I had another real fortunate thing. You know, I'd go see them when they played in LA at the Palace, and they'd just be terrible, falling down drunk. The
They were
Palladium,
perfect.
pretty bad.
That was perfect. That was art.
But I drove out to Santa Barbara and saw this little punk club when they played places where no one gave a fuck, you know, and where it wasn't the big industry show. They came out and played for an hour and a half, flawless, loud as God. I'm very fortunate. I saw a good Johnny Thunders show. I saw Johnny Thunders in San Juan Capistrano.
Oh my God.
Where he came out and played an hour and a half. The best guitar sound I had ever heard. He had 2 twins through 2 Marshalls. It was so loud. He just played every song great. And then I saw him 4 days later at the Roxy, where he just stumbled and he's drooling and he's all fucked up, you know. But I love the Replacements. You know, to me, you know, that's a punk band, and their attitude. They were so good when they were good, and a lot of people never got to see that.
One of Paul Westerberg's comments, he said, "Well, not everybody can be Husker Du, and that's what we wanted to be, but we're just not Husker Du." And so he, like, I think he used that as an excuse for, like, yeah, you know what? Sometimes we fucking suck. Eat my balls.
Right.
Like, he literally ran with that. I mean, they threw their tapes into the fucking river. Like,
the problem with them is that people started to want.
Never a problem.
People wanted to see the train wreck more than they wanted to see the good band.
Exactly.
People would show up and be yelling out cover songs. It's like, you know, when you saw the Replacements when they were good, they were amazing. But at like the big cities where things were important, they'd always shoot themselves in the foot.
I saw them twice. I saw them at the Palladium in '89, and they were not even present. Like, they were in jumpsuits and they had shaved their heads.
I think I was at that one.
And they were just like a disaster train. Like,
I was at the Palace when they pulled the curtain off.
Oh my God. And then I saw them like whatever, 8-10 years ago at the Palladium, and they just literally,
they're really good there. Yeah.
They ripped fucking dick. Like, they literally put on fucking a full on,
you know, and bottom line, it comes down that they have the songs, you know, they have so many great songs. So when they're good, they're good. But yeah, I was very fortunate, man. I saw them on the Hootenanny tour.
Oh my God.
That was that party.
You are old.
Or maybe it was the first, or maybe it was the second time, but they're so good. They're such a good band, man.
They are so storied, and they're so inspirational for so many bands. Like, do you take any inspiration from that guitar player? So that's Tommy Dumlin. Who's the fucking goddamn guitar player? Why am I so retarded?
Bob Stinson.
Yes, there you go. Bob Stinson.
Oh, yeah.
We ran up with the fucking Guns N' Roses, right?
No, Tommy Stinson.
Tommy Stinson went up.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
But yeah, Bob Stinson.
Bob eventually kind of booted him out, and then he passed away.
But I mean, dude, he had passed away. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. No,
I feel crappy.
He died.
But like, do you feel that? Like, what's your inspiration wise? Like, obviously, Replacements. Like, where do you get some inspiration for how you play and what you do? Like,
well, like I said, that first band I was in, we were young, so we played everything too loud, but we had like country songs. We loved the Replacements. We weren't there, you know what I mean? But you know, that was a big influence.
It was.
I still listen to the Replacements.
But what do you take still? Like, what do you still listen to give yourself inspiration? Like,
you know, I mean, like, again, I mean, I listen to the Stones a lot. I can listen to the Ramones at any time. You know what I mean? The Ramones are a perfect band. I still listen. You know, it's weird. I mean, I want to listen to new shit, but you know, I listened to a lot of the same stuff I did when I was coming up. I listened to the Stones. I listened to ZZ Top a lot. I like the old country, you know, stuff like that. I love the Replacements. I want to like new bands. I really do. But you know what record I love this year? Olivia Rodrigo. That's a great record.
Oh,
that's a great pop record. And her first record was good too. I have a 15-year-old daughter, right? So that record's great. My favorite, you know, talk about being old. My favorite records this year was the second Olivia Rodrigo record. That's really a good pop record. And the Stones, well, I didn't think they had it in them. The last one, they've made a good record in 40 years.
The blues record they did?
No, that one after that. Hackney Diamonds is a great rock and roll record.
Great fucking record.
Really, I gotta admit, I never got the blues one.
Dude, the one before that, the blues record, you should go back and listen.
I'm sure it's fine.
You won't recognize them as the Stones.
You know, here's the thing: when the Stones put out a new record, you're like, look, you got to accept they're not going to put Sticky Fingers out again. They're
800 years old.
We can't avoid putting out another Bridges to Babylon,
boom,
or a Bigger Bang. You know what I mean?
They're 800 years old, man.
They did it. This new record it's great. It's a really good, really kind of like, you know, man, come on, they're in their 80s. How many more records can they do? How long?
Perfect.
So it makes me happy as a huge Stones fan that if this is the last one, they go out on a very, very high note, because I think that record's stellar.
Fuck yeah.
But new music that I like, you know, I really do like those 2 Olivia Rodrigo records. I think they're very good.
I got Gizz. You gotta have a voice there. Come on.
I like pop stuff, you know. Yeah, that's the thing though, which is kind of weird. Like
Staying out.
to me,
Hold on.
people always go like rock is dead, but it is kind
Rock
of
is
dead.
not dead.
Well, but in a way, it kind of is because like when people go, well, what are the big rock bands? People always say, well, the Foo Fighters. All right, they've been around for 25 years.
They're not a rock
And then
band.
they say Tom Petty. Okay, Tom Petty's
He's dead.
You know what I mean? So rock is kind of in a way dead, right? I loved hip hop. I grew up in the 90s and the 80s. So I loved hip hop, but hip hop, and this makes me feel old. It makes me sound old. And probably is how it should be. I'm a 56-year-old man. I shouldn't get what's going on. You know what I mean?
No.
But I play for my daughter all the old. My daughter's super into the Beastie Boys now. I'll put on De La Soul. I'll put on all the old stuff.
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang. But there's such as a middle class Jewish kid coming from the Valley who's 56. I wasn't exactly on the cutting edge of rap. But there was a time where you could just go, oh, this is definitely Wu-Tang because I can tell their production style.
Right.
I can tell it. Or you could go, that's Ludacris or that's Missy Misdemeanor. Even if you didn't have their records,
Gangstar,
because they had such different style, and you could tell. You can't tell that now. Now it's just all a bunch of kind of mumbly shit. So to me, like kind of rock is sort of dead. Hip hop's kind of dead. I think pop music is very alive. Like this pop music. And the other thing that seems really healthy, I'm not a fan, but metal, man. We do a lot of metal festivals. We get invited to these metal festivals. And you go to the metal, like when you go to the punk rock festival, it's a bunch of dudes my age standing like this. I'm
I was there.
I'm just here to see Pennywise. I don't care about anybody. You know what I mean? But when you go to like the metal festivals, it's all young kids, man. They're all in their 20s, right? And I'll see bands. They're not always my cup of tea, but they're doing different shit. You'll see like a speed metal band like doing Sabbath riffs, or you'll see like a grindcore band that's doing new stuff. And it's not all dudes. There's a lot of girls. That's nice too. Like we did this thing called Hell in the Harbor last year. It was literally
like diarrhea in the bay.
It was Cannibal. We went on before Cannibal Corpse, right? And there's Cannibal. It's every one of those bands, with the things you can't read. We're the only band that wasn't like that. And we got treated so nicely, and the crowd was so cool to us. We had such a great show. Those, to me, I like doing them. We did another one. We did a couple in Europe this summer, you know what I mean? Where you're playing with all these heavy metal bands. But heavy metal, to me, you see a lot of young bands. You see, just bands that sound different or doing new shit. To me, metal's very alive, even though, again, I can't get through a Metallica record or a King Diamond song. And pop's alive, but, rock's kind of not in a good place. And and punk rock, we just did, punk rock bowling, last week, and it's great. It's fun, but
2 weeks ago.
It's the same 20 bands every, one new band. There you go. Exactly. But you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I would posit a really honest opinion of it is like Linkin Park was I call them like video game rock.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's been this mashup of hip hop and rock and pop and it all kind of it came together. It's like, dude, and for somebody my age and your age and you're older than dirt, I would just I'm like, I don't care. I want out of this. I want to walk away and just listen to fucking Exile on Main Street or fucking Quadrophenia or something fun.
I used to do sound at the Knitting Factory LA years ago in the late 90s and stuff. And, man, there'd be, just so many bad bands and whatever. But every once in a while, you'd see a band that was good, that would just I'll go buy this tomorrow and make me really happy. It didn't matter what it was. If it was a punk band or I saw a band called Chromeo that was all keyboards and dance shit. I thought they were great, man. I went and got that record. I did sound for some rap act called The Coup that I'd never heard of. And they're a rap band that had a band. I like rap with just the turntables. I'm like, oh, I hate this. It's a guy named Boots Riley. He went out and do that shit. This guy could sing, he could dance, the songs were good. I went out and bought that record. It made me happy to see something new that I liked. You know what I mean? So it's I want to embrace new shit. Most of it's really bad.
It's difficult to do that.
Watching movies, man. It's why? I watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest this afternoon.
For the first time?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No one's made a movie that why were movies in the 70s so much better? They just were.
They were nowadays. And I've said this on many shows, is that lately in the last dozen years, I've become a fan of songs. I'm not necessarily a fan of artists or bands anymore.
Right.
If there's a song out there, it's a great song. I don't give a fuck.
Absolutely,
who did it.
I mean, and that's what I'm saying. It's when I go to a metal festival, I hear more interesting things than at a punk festival or at a rock show. Or, I hear stuff like my daughter listens to. I hear stuff like, I'm always honest with her. I don't like that. But I'm like, that's good. Who's that? Because she listens to all like the new pop music, So it's like, it all comes down to songs.
I love the new pop music, especially the singer-songwriter
if
shit.
something has a hook, that's a hooky song. I mean, if you're singing
there's a ton of great stuff really coming down, and a bunch of really great stage shows. There's I can't remember the fucking name of something color fast, whatever.
Overwhelming Color Fest?
No, not Overwhelming Color Fast.
Overwhelming and then Color Fest.
No, I said there's a bunch of really amazing like stage shows. There's Sound and Color, I think.
I don't know.
And like people like that is the most amazing stage show I've ever seen, and the music is solid as shit.
I took my daughter to go see Billie Eilish. For one person out there in front of a whole stadium, it's pretty impressive. And the show was great. And I took her to see Taylor Swift, and I bought tickets for the Stones in July, which I'm looking forward to. But it's like
we're sitting
all right. The Taylor Swift one. Our tickets were not good, but anywhere you were, you could see everything. The screens was great. Taylor Swift was great, but it gives me hope because I'm like, if
she's an actual songwriter as well.
Just like it used to be, where are the Stones? Which guys mix? You know what I mean? The last time I saw them back in the '80s, it's kind of like, which one? I can't see anything. So now, with all the production now, at least for me as an old person, I'll be able to see.
As much as I want to trash talk it, like going to a good show, like I'm not a huge Prince fan. I don't like his stuff. He was one of the most brilliant songwriters of the entire 2 decades.
Yes,
that he was a songwriter. I don't like his style, but man, I bet his shows, I never saw one, I bet they're fucking amazing.
Every time he did a TV show,
fucking anybody like in that thing, I guarantee you, I bet you they're fucking amazing. And so as much as as a punk rock guy, I want to go, fuck it. You know what?
That's the thing. There's kind of that fine line. There's something about you set up the amps and you play. That's how the Ramones did it. That's how the Stones did it. I like it that way. On the other hand, I've seen, Taylor Swift's show was amazing. Billie Eilish was really incredible. Then on the other hand, you see all the new artists on Saturday Night Live, and it's just like you're just watching a video. It's like, well, can they really play? Can they sing? I don't know. There's just so much going on. It's just all kind of, it's like a play.
Well, wasn't it Avril Lavigne who went up there and the CD skipped?
No, that wasn't her. That was
no.
It was
Sprinting Beers?
Jessica Simpson's.
Oh yeah,
it was the one sister. Yeah, it was her. Yeah.
So Gizz and I had this conversation early on. Well, like
and Milli Vanilli, and for that matter, Motley Crue. So fuck Motley Crue. They, to me, they've always been a joke, but now we all know that it's a fucking joke.
We had this conversation early on, like, well, fucking, what about Green Day and Blink-182? Blah, blah. And the bigger actual answer to that, and Gizz was 100% right on this one, was if you listen to Blink-182 and it dragged you down the line to Guttermouth, which puts you into Pennywise, which puts you into all the if it pulls you in to the genre, then you know what? It's fucking pertinent and it's real.
Exactly. And that's a good way. Like when we were kids, I'd read an interview with Keith Richards because there's things called magazines, and you talk about
magazines.
I go, I should check that out. The same thing, if Olivia Rodrigo turns you on to Billie Eilish, you go down that thing, we'll figure out where she got it from.
And if you misspell it, it's Billy Idol, and
there's still a way, that kids can discover new stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It doesn't always have to be, there's that period with MTV where the shit would be shoved down your throat. It's like you do 2 rock videos, you do your power ballad, that's how it is, and we're gonna play this, everybody has to buy it.
Every rose has its thorn.
So, case in point, which is actually probably the best song, but but like, in a way now without MTV, I know there's still that going on and whatever, but in a way, at least people are hearing it before they see it.
Exactly.
To me, it was always kind of like, you hear stuff on the radio, you didn't know what the band looked like. You know what I mean? Then there's that whole period with just MTV. Well, he's cute. I'm going to buy that record. Oh, she's cute. I like that.
Or I don't know what that is, but I think I dig it.
But it was just also.
Hey, the rose has its thorn.
When you think about it today, people heard Billie Eilish before they saw her, and I think that's positive.
I agree.
They decided if they liked that music before they had a video played for them.
Yeah.
Everybody had MTV on all the time. So
and to back her up, like she's like some of her critics, like, oh my God, Jits, like I'm fucking 17, assholes.
She's very smart, talented person.
Fuck you guys and your paparazzi bullshit. Shut your fucking holes. Leave fucking Good Enough alone. Respect the art. Don't fucking do that shit.
But I mean, like I said, I think that's positive just for any artist to be heard before they're
Yeah.
seen. And there's a time period where you didn't have that. Everything would be seen before you'd actually listen to it, So anyways, young people suck. I'm right, and everybody should listen.
What's the biggest? Hey, hold on. Hey, shut up. What's the biggest show you've ever played?
Dwarves did main stage Castle Donington Ozfest
Ooh.
in about 2004. We had some European agent who got us on there. We figured that we're going to be on the side stage. We played the main stage, so that's the big giant stage with two huge.
I know what that is now.
Fucking screens. We went on, I think, like about third in the afternoon. We played the day that the all four guys Black Sabbath was playing. Slayer was on the bill. There's all these bands.
People, right?
And we went on probably like at 2 p.m, but it was pretty neat, man. You come out and there's this, I don't know. I mean, it's Castle Donington. That was the biggest shot. I remember saying, "Enjoy this," because they're never going to ask us back. Because they have there's all these kids there, and he who had his dick out, and there's big 50-foot screens with his penis, and I'm like, but it was fun. It was awesome.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That's the biggest show that I've done.
That's fantastic.
Favorite show?
Favorite show? Well, I mean, for dwarf stuff, club shows are always more fun. Those are the ones where.
But what's
Which
your
one?
favorite club? Like, doesn't matter what band. What like that the moment on stage where you're like, this was fucking badass, or something strange happened.
When I first joined the Dwarves, the band naturally started playing a little bit longer and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just kind of being a little more.
That is true because the early years of the Dwarves is the 15 minutes max.
This is like I brought in this drummer, there's a new guy. This kind of looks a little more musical, serious. I remember the first time I played a Dwarves show that lasted,
the full set.
3 minutes, and that's when I never really felt like I was in the band. That was like it was South by Southwest, just a big showcase. Like anybody gives a fuck about us. Let's try to be good, and you make it, after 3 minutes, it's completely, Or I remember one time playing in Philadelphia, we were playing some place, and we opened with that song "Dominator," which on the record's 58 seconds, and we didn't finish it. It's just
Because of lag, he just couldn't get.
I think that was more of a he who being pretty drunk. But at the end, I remember talking to the guy on the bar, and I'm like, "Hey, that's sorry." He's like, "No, it's okay." It kind of reminded me of the first time I ever had sex. He goes, "It was very exciting." He goes, "I wasn't really sure what was going on, and then it was over." So I always like that. So maybe those shows were kind of fun for me because then I felt like, okay, I am in this stupid band.
I made her squirt.
The first time you just had one of those shows where
He made
go
squirt.
Go through shit within like a minute and you're done.
So as we're winding down a little bit here, we're getting to our hour. Is there anything you want to plug? You got merch, you got shows. What you got?
I got the new Dwarves record. Dwarves concept record.
What's the website to buy that?
Dwarves.com.
Dwarves.com.
Thedwarves.com.
Thedwarves.com.
Yeah, get that. There's a Dwarves EP coming out this month of some extra bonus tracks, a couple cover songs and stuff like that. New Richie Ramone record.
Ooh.
Live to Tell. I did all the guitars on that.
What?
I wrote the single for that.
I want to have a follow-up to this interview because I have so many more questions.
Richie's new record's really good, man. It's like, playing with your heroes. Ramones for me were huge, so we became friendly.
Send your checks to Marc Diamond.
Yeah, check out that record. That's a good record.
Cash 1999.
Those Richie record's really good. I think people would like that.
So what plug it?
It was called Live to Tell, Richie Ramone.
Okay, yeah, but that then
single. Yeah, no, I wrote the single for him and I played all the guitars and shit on it.
Yeah,
so that's a good one. Get that.
You going on tour this summer with the Dwarves?
Yeah, Dwarves. We got in. We've been doing a lot. We're kind of off this month.
I know.
In July,
bro.
in July, we go to Europe. Rebellion Fest, Rock Fest, Free and Easy Fest, Rack Rock Fest. There's like a bunch of you got to do the festivals. Rebellion Fest. So we'll be doing that for about 2.5 weeks.
With the subs.
Well, yeah, the Rebellion one.
Mm-hmm.
Blackpool, shittiest town in the world. Oh my god!
Oh my god!
You think about this. Blackpool in England, just to give you an idea, that's their beach town. Okay, that's where they have the pier and like the whole thing, right?
Santa Monica.
So they have this thing in August. I've been there before where it was hailing. So cold. You know what I mean? It's like, you fucking people, get on a plane. You're an hour away from Spain or France. Go to a real beach. Don't go to Blackpool. But there's people like, we're at the beach. Like, you're not at a beach. It's a giant breakwater, and I'm freezing. But think about this. At some point, those people, years ago said, well, we want a name that tells people fun and sun and beach. And some guy said, how about Blackpool? And they all said, yeah, that's a good name for that.
Congratulations. This place was
Blackpool.
horrible.
Yeah. Well, Brighton was, it's horrible. Blackpool's it's a fucking shit.
All right. We're at the end of our
All
time.
right. Fair enough. But,
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have Marc back in. I love you.
Thank you, Gizz.
We're going to do this
Love to
again.
come
We
back.
have a whole lot more questions. But for tonight, go fuck yourselves. Gizz, who's a cunt?
You're a cunt.
Thank you, baby.
You know what?
Hey,
you
what?
do?
Watch the
Fuck off,
language.
bitch. But we'll be back next week, every Monday, 7 o'clock PM. Yeah.
Same bad time.
Yep.
Same
Same
bad.
bad channel.
I can't remember who we have. Do you know who we have next week? Let me look it up real quick.
Oh, no. I got to pee pretty bad, so.
I guess we're done.
Well, let me take a little bit longer then. Next week we have Eric King.
Okay.
From the band The Heart Race. He was the drummer for Dead Lazlo's place.
There you
A
go.
really good kid. And
I get to
that
ask
kid
him,
has
what were you
become one of-
thinking with that guy?
He's become an amazing drummer, man. I was honored to play with him in 2000 when he took over for Jeff, and really good kid. So we got a good interview next week too. And
We have a good interview every week.
and thank you,
Yes,
Mark,
thanks,
for
Mark.
coming in, man.
Thank you for
and
having me.
We're going to go have sex later. Bye, everybody.
Peace.